Hey, good morning. Welcome to Morning Scone. Glad to have you here, and just very, very grateful to you and to all of you who have made this part of your daily routine. Tomorrow will be episode 50, so 50 consecutive days that we will have done Morning Scone, and it's my vow here is that we'll continue doing this show every single morning without exception. So that includes holidays. Did a show on Mother's Day this past weekend. We did a show on Easter as well. So anyway, you keep watching. I'll keep putting the show on every single morning. I'm very, very grateful. Please hit the red subscribe button if you have not yet done so. I'm starting to leave the door to my office open, so Drew is coming in here from time to time, as he's doing right now, making a cameo on Morning Scone. Hey, bud. Say hi. He's fired up. So two things I want to talk about tonight, or this morning rather. First, tonight, LSU has its final game at Alex Box Stadium this year. Of course, it's worth noting it's the final regular season game, but I doubt very seriously that LSU is going to host a regional, so it's very likely going to be the last game at the box for the year. Mama. Ooh, go watch Mickey Mouse. Daddy's working. You want to go watch Mickey Mouse? Okay. See you later. Got it. So LSU's not going to host a regional this year, so this will be the last game at the box. They host Northwestern State. It's a team that they've owned in the last 20 years. The only time Northwestern State has beaten LSU was in 2011, which of course was the last time LSU missed postseason play. Paul Maneri's 12-1 against Northwestern State in his time in Baton Rouge. This is an okay Northwestern State team. They're 36 and they are on the season. Sorry. They're 36 and 20-ish. I'm sorry. 31 and 20. Not that that was crucial, but Northwestern State's 31 and 20 on the year. They hit about 270 as a team, and they got 38 homers. So the good news for LSU is that this isn't a team with a bunch of homers. For comparison's sake, LSU's got 40 homers on the season, and we know that LSU's not really a team that runs it out of the yard a whole bunch. So if you're LSU tonight, you throw the ball over the plate, you make them put together 3, 4, 5 hits to put up a crooked number, and you take your chances. You put the ball over the plate, you make them put it in play, and hope that your guys can get them out and they hit it at people. So you want a strike thrower. Of course, AJ Labus didn't pitch this past weekend. You don't want to use him now because you'd like to have him at Auburn if his arm soreness has gone away. Paul Maneri clearly doesn't trust Caleb Gilbert as a starter. You use Nick Bush this past weekend to start Sunday. Todd Peterson is your new closer. Cam Sanders extended for you on Saturday. So Maneri's sitting there going, okay, what options do I have to start this ball game? And he's decided to go with Matt Beck. And it's interesting for a number of reasons. It makes sense because of the reason I just said. When he's on, Matt Beck is a great strike thrower. So you got a guy that's going to go throw the ball over the plate. He typically isn't going to walk people. That's his MO is that he's going to put the ball over the plate and make guys hit it. And sometimes he'll even get you some strikeouts. He's got 32 strikeouts in 23 innings pitched this year. But his walks on the season for Beck are he's got 16 walks in 23 innings. But remember, that's really 5 or 6 of them in his last 2 outings when he went through that stretch where he only retired 4 of 18 batters that he faced. Going back to that Tulane walk-off walk. But understand, Maneri brought him in that situation because he's a strike thrower. And Beck just kind of lost it. So what's so interesting about that is, early in the season, if you remember when the bullpen went on that great string of 29 consecutive scoreless innings, and Beck was very much a leader of that. But at that point, Devin Fontenot, before that, just hadn't really found his location. He had good stuff, but hadn't really found the location. Peterson was searching for his role. Gilbert was still in the weekend rotation. Nick Bush he knew he was your lefty arm, but hadn't really emerged to that end. Like early in the year, they thought Trent Vettmeyer might be, a guy they count on, and then he struggled to throw strikes, and so he was kind of, out of the mix there. Beck was your guy. Beck was your arm out of the bullpen. We were talking, when Fontenot emerged, we were talking about Beck or Fontenot potentially in that closer role when Bain was getting knocked around a little bit. So it's kind of amazing to think just how Beck's season has gone from sort of being the guy out of the bullpen to now starting in this midweek game where my expectation is Paul Maneri is going to kind of let him go. Because, unless if the offense just explodes and he can go eat up the game with guys like, John Kodros and Clay Moffitt and Will Reese. Like, if he can use guys that are the sort of the extra arms in his pen, that'd be fantastic. But that's predicated on the offense getting off tonight. But, otherwise, understand it's a Tuesday and you open the Auburn series on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. If you let Beck go, 80 pitches tonight, you may not have him at all for the weekend. So, maybe he could give you something on Saturday, but it's just interesting that early in the year, this was the guy, the veteran strike thrower that you could count on the bullpen, and here you are going into the final, midweek game of the regular season. He's starting because you don't know if you're going to use him coming up this weekend at Auburn. Now, it's also possible that Maneri's just going to let Beck go get 2 innings and then just try to piece it together with 11 different relievers that are all going to get an out or two just to make it work. But the other thing about tonight, in particular, is last year, of course, when LSU lost the midweek game to South Alabama and the Chicken Littles came out and it started the whole midweek games don't matter thing, people have been asking me a lot, well, Matt, they're trying to get in the tournament. Does this game matter? Well, the whole argument a year ago has been so misconstrued by people based on what it was originally intended to be, which was if you're LSU and you're contending, then the committee is never going to look at a midweek game if you take care of business in the SEC. So win your conference games. Don't worry if you lose a game against Southeastern. And if I'm not mistaken, that weekend, after LSU lost to South Alabama, they went and swept Auburn. And we came back the next week on the show and was like, well, you must still be devastated now that they lost to South Alabama, which, of course, it didn't matter. So this weekend, with LSU going to Auburn, I'll still pose it to you this way. LSU's RPI is about 50. They're very much on the bubble for the NCAA tournament. They're at 14 conference wins. If LSU goes to Auburn and wins 2 games, whatever happens tonight against Northwestern State is irrelevant. If they go win two games at Auburn this weekend, they're at 16 and they're in, because no SEC team that's gotten 16 conference wins has ever been left out of the tournament. LSU would have 16 wins. They'd have something like 14 top 50 RPI wins. Like, they would absolutely be in. But, of course, that's contingent upon taking care of your business in conference, which LSU hasn't done this year and certainly hasn't done on the road. So, yeah, I can understand that if you're Paul Maneri, you're saying, hey, look, don't give the committee any more reason to think that this team isn't playing well at the end of the season. Don't go take a loss from a team whose RPI is in the triple digits with Northwestern State coming into your building tonight. So, yeah, you want to go out and you want to win the game, but I will maintain, like, LSU's RPI may actually, regardless of win or lose this game tonight, LSU's RPI may drop. And the committee's not going to stare squarely at this game as impactful. What's more important for LSU is go win 2 at Auburn. I don't know if they can do that. They haven't won a single road conference series all season. So there's no reason for me to pick them to do it. My guess is they probably go get 1 at Auburn. And if they do that, they're at 15 wins, and that should be enough to get them in. But I'd feel much better if they could win a couple of games in Hoover as well. So LSU Northwestern State tonight. Keep an eye on Matt Beck, how long he goes into the ball game tonight. And really, really what you want, just have the offense get off. Just have the offense go put up like a 15-run night, like they did last week against McNeese. So you rule them, and you can just go kick your feet up and then get on a plane tomorrow and go to Auburn and try to win your first road conference series of the year. And for all intents and purposes, punch your tickets to regionals. So LSU Northwestern State tonight, final game at the box for the 2018 season. Tier. Last thing I want to talk about real quickly is KJ Malone, who announced that he's retiring from football. He went through Texans rookie minicamp this weekend, said the knee injury that he suffered last year, which caused him to miss about half the season, just prevented him from performing, and he's retiring from football. Not a great surprise. It would have been a long shot to make the team anyway, but more so because if you remember, KJ Malone was considering not coming back to LSU football last year. He was going to go be a U.S. Marshal. And Ed Ogeron had his their exit meeting with him and basically begged him to come back because they needed more veterans on that line. And as it turned out, they ended up, when KJ got hurt, having to start true freshman Sadiq Charles at left tackle. Now, he's a dude. I mean, Sadiq Charles had an awesome year, and you feel really good about that spot. But I was actually more surprised that Malone gave it a go in the NFL. But good on him, and if he does go on to be a U.S. Marshal and and protect the good old U.S. of A., we certainly would appreciate KJ Malone for his service. But maybe most importantly, you back? Hey, bud. Mama. Mama's not here right now, Bubba. Ooh. You gonna say hi to everybody? Okay. But maybe most importantly, what KJ Malone gave us, his dad, Karl Malone, of course, Syracuse, 2015, flip phone. I mean, Karl Malone on the flip phone is one of those images that should live on forever and ever and ever in LSU football lore. So, hey, KJ Malone, thanks for being a great Tiger. Good luck in whatever the future may hold, especially if that is, defending and protecting and serving all of us as a U.S. Marshal. So, I love you. So, I'm going to wrap up this edition of Morning Scone because my kid's hanging on me and he's asking for mama. So, y'all have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't done it already.